And then moving on to probably the craziest region starting in the round of 32. I'm keeping it alive. Is this the upset of the year? Who's going to win? Drum roll. And the winner is... March Madness is upon us. The greatest tournament in all of sports, the greatest month in all of sports is finally here. And yeah, I'm excited, baby. Let's just get right into it. Here is my 2024 March Madness bracket. We're going to start out in the East region. UConn over Stetson. No surprises there. FAU over Northwestern. I think that's going to be a great game. FAU last year went to the Final Four. This year, they brought back a lot of pieces from that team, but they're just not the same team. But regardless, I'm taking them over Boo Buie and the Northwestern Wildcats. San Diego State University over UAB. Auburn over Yale. Auburn's a team I love. I honestly could see Yale winning just because Yale had a phenomenal tournament. But I'm going to take Auburn. Auburn's great. I love them so much. BYU over Duquesne. I keep seeing a lot of people picking Duquesne, and as much as I see it, I don't. BYU is a phenomenal team. They were supposed to be a 5 seed. They were actually supposed to be a high 5 seed, but the reason that they weren't is because since they're all Mormons, they can't play on Sunday, which means that their first game had to be on Thursday, because if they win, they'll then play Saturday, because if they played Friday, then they'd play Sunday. Because they can't play Sunday because Sunday's the holy day. So they had to play on Thursday, which meant that they went down to a 6 seed. So essentially, BYU is a 5 seed playing against 11 seed Duquesne, who already kind of got bailed out with their 11. I'm giving this one to BYU. Illinois, Morehead State. This is my first big upset. Morehead State's going to take down Terrence Shannon Jr. in Illinois. And this one's scary because Illinois could go far, and Terrence Shannon Jr. would be a big reason why. But Morehead State, I think, is just great. They control the tempo great. They're the 10th best in opponent points per game. Riley Minix, 21 points per game almost 10 rebounds per game, and he was the Ohio Valley Conference Player of the Year. Riley Minix is a force to be reckoned with. I think he can take on Terrence Shannon. And I think Morehead State is the 14 seed that beats a 3 seed this year and moves on to the round of 32. I'm going to take Drake to upset Washington State. The seeding will say it's an upset. The betting odds will say it's not. Drake is currently the favorite. I think Drake's the better team. Washington State's got a great big man down low, but I just think Drake's going to be too much. Tucker DeVries is phenomenal. Iowa State's going to beat South Dakota State. Zeke May is great for South Dakota. I think I would love to pick South Dakota. I just don't have it in me to pick a 15-2 upset like this for the world to see. In some of my non-real brackets, I definitely will be picking South Dakota State. But I can't. If I'm putting my money where my mouth is, can't pick South Dakota State to beat Iowa State. Moving on, round of 32. UConn over FAU, Auburn over San Diego State, and I'm keeping it alive. Morehead State over BYU. Is this the upset of the year? Morehead State beating BYU. Riley Minix, like I said, is phenomenal. And he's so good. And this 14-6 matchup has happened quite a few times. And there's only been twice that a 14 has beat a 6 seed. And it's been a long time since that happened. Not anymore. It's happening this year. Morehead State beating BYU and the Mormons. Iowa State beats Drake. And now we head on to the Sweet 16 out in the East region. UConn, Auburn. This is a phenomenal game. I would love if Auburn could win this game. I love watching this Auburn team play. They won the SEC tournament. UConn obviously won the Big East tournament. Both of these teams are phenomenal. I want to pick Auburn. My heart is with Auburn, but everything else is with UConn. My brain, my gut, everything says UConn. They're just so dominant. It's so tough to pick anyone but UConn. UConn is the best offense in the league. They allow opponents to less than 65 points per game. They're so good. Auburn, though, 83.3 points per game. You have one of the best offenses versus a phenomenal defense. Auburn, UConn. What do you do? Defense wins championships. UConn's winning this game. Iowa State is going to end the Cinderella run of Morehead State. It was nice while it lasted. It's sad to see it go. Morehead State, you had a phenomenal run, a 14 seed in the Sweet 16. You don't see that very often. Sad, but Iowa State's going to end the run. And in the Elite Eight, UConn, Iowa State, the 1 seed versus the 2 seed in the Eastern region. UConn's going to the Final Four. UConn's going to the Final Four. It's not something flashy. It's not something exciting or different. But when it's going to happen and everyone knows it, sometimes the best is the best for a reason. And UConn's the best. There's nothing else you could say about that. Moving on, Western region. Starting out, UNC beats Wagner. Michigan State upsets Mississippi State. Is it an upset? Tom Izzo in March. Mississippi State had a big run in the SEC tournament. Is it a big upset? No. It's a 9 versus an 8. But Tom Izzo in March, that's who I'm going to take. St. Mary's over GCU. I've been taking Grand Canyon a lot in some of my other mock brackets. But St. Mary's has lost 1 game since Christmas. And I don't think their second's going to come to Grand Canyon. As much as I would love it, I don't think it's going to happen. College of Charleston, Bama, this is one that I want to pick College of Charleston. If they can control tempo against Alabama, who is the highest scoring offense in all of college basketball, they can win this game. This is definitely not a stretch. But Bama's going to win. They average 91 points per game. They're going to run College of Charleston out of the waters. New Mexico's going to upset Clemson. New Mexico should not be an 11 seed. The entire Mountain West Conference got completely and utterly flattened in this tournament rankings. The fact that they're an 11 seed is crazy. Clemson had a hot start, slowed down a lot since then. They're 10-10 to end the season. They had a not so hot end. New Mexico's going to win. Baylor and Colgate, Baylor's going to win. Nevada upsets Staten. Nevada does it all pretty well, efficiently, offensively, defensively. They're one of the most efficient teams all around. Zona beats Long Beach State. And then moving on to probably the craziest region starting in the round of 32. Michigan State upsets University of North Carolina. St. Mary's upsets Alabama. Baylor wins against New Mexico. New Mexico is a very popular team to make the Sweet 16. A lot of people are having them as their Cinderella run. I could see it. They're a great team, don't get me wrong. But I hate basic. You don't come here for basic. And Nevada upsets Arizona, the 1 and the 2 seed, both out. The 3 seed is now the highest seed. You now have a 3 seed, a 5 seed, a 9 seed, and a 10 seed in the Sweet 16. This is a fun one. Moving on to the Sweet 16. You have Michigan State taking on St. Mary's, and you have Baylor taking on Nevada. Michigan State, Tyson Walker, 18.2 points per game. Malik Hall, 12.6 points per game, 5.6 rebounds. And don't forget, they got A.J. Hoggard. That guy's a force to be reckoned with. They've had a streaky season, though, Michigan State has. They started the beginning of the year as one of the preseason favorites to make the Final Four. And now they're a 9 seed. And they have to go on a crazy run to do so. It was not the best season for Tom Izzo's Spartans, but it's March. And you know what that means. It means it's time to turn it around for one of the greatest coaches of all time. They've had close games all season with Duke, Zona, Illinois, Purdue. They've beat teams like Baylor and Illinois. This is a great team. But they don't always perform. So can they beat St. Mary's and hand them their second loss since Christmas? You're absolutely right, they can. Michigan State's moving on to the Elite Eight. And who do they face? They face a team that they beat earlier this year. They face off against Baylor, who I believe will beat Nevada, beat the 10 seed, and move on to the Elite Eight. You have the 3 seed versus the 9 seed, and like I just said, Michigan State's going to win this one. Michigan State's going to be a 9 seed in the Final Four, taking on UConn. That's going to be some amazing ball games later on in this March Madness. Moving on over to the South Division. Houston over Longwood. Nebraska with Kaisi Tominaga over Texas A&M. Both of those teams I could see making a very big run. Whoever wins, look out. JMU over Wisconsin, 12-5 upset. Only lost 3 games all year. Wisconsin's had ups and downs. I think AJ Storr is a great player, phenomenal for Wisconsin. Not enough. JMU's taking this one. Duke over Vermont. Texas Tech over NC State. NC State had a phenomenal ACC showing. They won the ACC championship, beating out Duke, beating out North Carolina in order to do so. But 6 seed Texas Tech is going to take this one. Kentucky over Oakland. Florida over the winner of Boise State, Colorado. I'm making this on Wednesday, so I don't know who wins yet. But I think either way, I'm going to take Florida. And Marquette over Western Kentucky. Don't sleep on these 15 seeds, though. These 15 seeds are solid, okay? So don't get me wrong on that. Now, moving on, round of 32. Houston over Nebraska. The Dukes of JMU over Duke, the Blue Devils. Massive upset. This one's much bigger than the JMU over Wisconsin upset. JMU is just so solid. JMU averages 84.4 points per game. They hold opponents to less than 70 points per game. They started with that shocking win over Michigan State in the very first game of the season when everyone thought that Michigan State was the team to beat. And clearly they're not. But at the time, that was a great win. JMU with Terrence Edwards, who's averaging 17.4, 4.4, and 3.5 points, rebounds, assists. TJ Bickerstaff, phenomenal. And it's going to be an exciting team to watch out in Virginia. But they're in the South region, so they're not playing in Virginia. JMU, Dukes over Duke Blue Devils. Kentucky over Texas Tech. And Florida upsetting the 2-seeded Marquette. Marquette is potentially without Tyler Kolek, one of their star players. He should be back. He was out for the Big East tournament. He should be back. If he's back, this will be a phenomenal game. Even if he's not back, this will be a phenomenal game. But either way, give me Florida and give me them Gators. Number 2 seeds are 8 and 9 versus 7 seeds since 2015. Let's make that 8 and 10. Florida over Marquette. Moving on to the Sweet 16. Houston's going to end the run by the Dukes. JMU goes down to the 1 seed Houston Cougars. Kentucky going to beat Florida. And that leaves us with Houston and Kentucky for a chance at the Final Four. Give me the Houston Cougars. They're one of the best teams in the nation. Their starting 5 really carries them. Their depth is not great. Kentucky, Rob Dillingham is phenomenal. He is definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with in the NBA. Antonio Reeves averaging 20 points per game for Kentucky. This is going to be no easy task for Houston. But give me the Cougars going on to the Final Four. Who do they face, though? That's the real question. Purdue, out in the Midwest. Purdue's going to win, whoever they play. I don't know who wins the game tonight, so I don't know who they're playing. Doesn't matter. Purdue is not getting upset another 16-1. Not this year. They're not the same team. I'll get there in a minute. TCU over Utah State. Both teams are phenomenal. Would not be surprised if either of them were able to win this game and then beat Purdue. But TCU is winning. McNeese State, a very popular upset pick. I'm going to hop on the train. They're going to beat Gonzaga. I don't trust Gonzaga this year. I don't like them. I don't love them. None of it. Give me McNeese State. Samford over Kansas. Kansas has too many injuries, and I'm not here for it. Look out for the name Achor. Yeah, you heard that right. Achor from Samford. Look out for him. South Carolina over Oregon. Creighton over Akron. Texas over Colorado State. And Tennessee over St. Peter's. Nothing too surprising there. No real upsets other than McNeese and Samford in this region. I just don't really see anything that's all that crazy. Moving on, round of 32. Purdue over TCU. McNeese State over Samford. McNeese State has Shahada Wells, who's averaging almost 18 points per game and nearly 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He's a phenomenal player. I think him and the rest of McNeese State are going to be able to get the best of Samford and Achor. McNeese State moves on to face off against Purdue. University of South Carolina takes one, loses it against Creighton. Creighton's one of the best teams in the country. They're a favorite to make the Final Four. They were that way all season long. They might even win. Just watch out. Texas, Tennessee. I would love to pick Texas. I really want to pick Texas here. I have Tennessee written down. You can see it right here. I have Tennessee written down. But man, I love Texas. Give me Tennessee. Dalton Connect is so good. I can't put my money where my mouth is and say Texas. I'm going to go with Tennessee right here. Tennessee, Dalton Connect has been phenomenal. He's been one of the best players in all of college basketball. 21 points per game, almost 5 rebounds. Jonas Aidoo, 12 points, 7.7 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game from Tennessee. They lost at Purdue by 4 early on this year, and now they're facing Purdue in the Elite Eight for a chance at the Final Four. They lost, as I mentioned, at Purdue. And if you know college basketball, you know that home court advantage is huge. And now they're at a neutral court. Give me Tennessee to take the region, to take the Midwest region, send Zach Edey packing. Bye-bye. As an Indiana fan, I want nothing more than to see that happen once again. As a basketball fan, I want nothing more than to see that happen. Send Zach Edey and Purdue packing. Head on over to the Final Four. Tennessee will take on the Houston Cougars in the Final Four. Now in the Final Four, UConn versus Michigan State, Houston versus Tennessee, each with a chance to go to the national championship. UConn versus Michigan State. It's been a phenomenal run from 9th seed of Michigan State. Tom Izzo in March is phenomenal. He's done the impossible before. He's done it again, beating out North Carolina, making a tremendous run to the Final Four. But it ends at the hand at the reigning champions, the UConn Huskies. This team is special. They have it all. They have offense. They have defense. They have consistency. They have 3 losses all season long. They won arguably the toughest conference in all of college basketball in the Big East. They only had 3 teams make the tournament from their conference, yet somehow all of those teams were the 1, 2, and 3 seed. And there were a lot of snubs. St. John's, Seton Hall. There were some good teams that did not make this tournament. UConn's going to the national championship once again. Who does UConn face on the other side? Houston versus Tennessee. I'm going to give this one to Dalton Connect and the Tennessee Vols. This team is absolutely phenomenal. I am very excited to see how this team goes. I mentioned earlier that I really wanted to pick Texas, and I'm scared to pick Tennessee here because of that game. I'm scared because Texas is a good team, and by no means did Tennessee have a very easy path to get here. But UConn versus Tennessee, that's going to be the national championship. UConn versus Tennessee, who's going to win? Drum roll. And the winner is the UConn Huskies. The UConn Huskies win the 2024 national champions. They become the first team to ever go back-to-back since 2007, which Florida did. The UConn Huskies are so good. They brought back a lot of pieces from last year. They have a new star freshman who has been killing it all season long. The UConn Huskies are phenomenal. And they're going to take down Dalton Connect and the Tennessee Volunteers. And they're going to go back-to-back for the first time in over 15 years. This team's great. It's going to be exciting to watch. It's a boring pick, maybe. It's not the most exciting, and it's frankly not that different. They are the most popular pick team. That's because they're the best. And sometimes, like I said earlier, the best is the best for a reason. And you don't get that title without actually being the best. So with that being said, UConn is going to win the 2024 national championship. Thank you all for watching. Let me know what your biggest upset was. Do you have Morehead State going to the Sweet 16? What's your biggest upset? Let me know down below. Who do you have winning the championship? Also, go ahead. Let me know. Where was I right? Where was I wrong? I guess we'll find out. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.